I went to Cheltenham Junior School, which was an offshoot of the college, and my father had been there, and so he put me down for Cheltenham, obviously. And I went there when I was 7, and by then, my father was in India, and I was in the charge of my maternal grandfather, who was a retired country doctor.
Mm.
And he was a nice old man, very strict, very Victorian in his attitude about manners and all the rest of it. And I didn't know what I was in for at all. I didn't know anything about boarding schools. I was staying with my grandfather, and I looked out of the window, my bedroom window, and I saw the village school in action, which was just opposite, a little village called Hook Norton. And there was so much thuggery and bullying going on in the playground, I was terrified of the idea of being at a boarding school. And I was chucked in there aged 7, and I thought, well, my father's arranged this, it must be all right. So I've got to get on with it.
Mm.
And I spent the rest of my time there, which was from 7 till 14, doing averagely well, learning to roller skate in the yard and one or two things like that. But I was destined to go on to Cheltenham College. But it was really a miserable time. I mean, I hear about people being bullied. I was bullied simply because I was younger than some of the others.
Mm.
And I remember being taken to the gymnasium by some of the older boys and hit quite hard with socks full of sand, which was quite a thumping. And I thought, oh, well, this is all part of junior school, you know, must get on with it.
God.
And it's okay. And years later, my mother came here while she was still alive, and I told her this, and she said, oh, you never said anything. So I said, well, I didn't think it was, I thought it was all normal, and I'd got to get on with it.
Amazing.
So I never told them.
Mm.
But that wasn't a good experience at all, really. And then I went on to Cheltenham College. That was okay, but I don't know. I wasn't happy, really. I wasn't particularly unhappy. I got a bit knocked about. In those days, little boys were sort of hit by bigger boys because they've got to grow up and be big boys.
Mm.
And there was an awful lot of sort of, not what you call serious bullying, but a lot of sort of unpleasantness.
Mm. What do you remember about lessons? What did you write on and things?
Well, I had a problem which I now recognise, and I've forgotten what to call it, but it's the business of not being able to recognise words.
Dyslexia.
Yes. Well, I used to read very, very slowly. Nowadays, I've looked around, and I realised that my mother had the same sort of complaint. I realised that in retrospect, long ago now, but I realised now that I had this trouble, and one of my grandsons has got the same trouble, running in the family, genes and all the rest of it. So I was a very slow reader, and the teaching wasn't good really.
Mm.
And when I got to the college, at Cheltenham College, and we got back to work there, I mean, I had masters who were not up to the mark. I suppose it's something to do with the war being on, but my housemaster, the man who ran my sort of domestic side and taught, was shell-shocked. And the great sport with him was to get and be or in his classroom before he came in. When he came in, by that time we'd reached up to all the little lights that were hanging down and got them all swinging in unison. And we knew, I mean, busy little boys we were, But we knew he'd probably fall over because he lost all orientation with his shell shocking. So that was him. The chap who taught me engineering drawing was a fellow called Murray, and he'd been aghast in the war, and he had great yellow things all around him, and he was a bit sort of thing. The chap who taught me physics had a very brown skin, not because of heredity, but by something that had happened to him somewhere. Wow. And he was called the Kipper. we had very little respect for them, and we tried to avoid being taught in many ways.
But this is before dyslexia was sort of recognised as a condition. Did people just think that you were not very bright, or what?
No, they thought I was bone idle. And my housemaster beat me, one term beat me quite regularly every week because I wasn't working hard enough.